Hello and welcome back to episode 10 of Green Valley Zoo, and this is the first of a three-part video because this next project is big. It's certainly the biggest, most complicated thing that I've built so far, and it's my first attempt to build a functional restaurant in the game. And obviously by functional I mean actually has it doesn't only look good from the outside, but actually people can go inside and visit the shops and sit down. And I also wanted it to be incorporated with a habitat. So the restaurant itself obviously is a building on its own, but I wanted it to have a balcony, and I wanted it to have big glass windows around, certainly some of it, so I could have a habitat immediately outside that the customers could look at while they're sitting down and eating their food. So that's the idea. And I decided to go with an animal that I hadn't put in any of my zoos yet, and that's the Jaguars. They're lovely creatures, and I don't know why, I just fancied building a habitat for them. And so this is the Jaguar restaurant, and well, you can see it's 2 floors. I wanted to go with a similar theme to my entrance building, if you remember that right back in episode 1, where you have stone, glass and wood in one building. I don't know why, I just like the look of it. So I've gone again with this the stone base and the big glass windows for the second floor. Nothing too fancy this time with the angled glass, that was way too complicated. I think it looks nice, although I wasn't happy immediately. I looked at it and I thought, no, that's, the entrance wasn't right, so I had to redo that. I had a lot of problems with the pathing around here. I lost some and couldn't get it back, and had to put it back in and change it, and it's such a pain. The pathing system in this game can give you nightmares. But in the end, this whole area turns out really nicely. Actually, I will tell you now, I'm not going to be doing a real-time segment in the first 2 of the 3 videos. So basically the first video, this one, is the downstairs of the restaurant. The next video will be the upstairs of the restaurant. And then the third video will be the Jaguar habitat, which is built next door to the restaurant. And once that has been shown, so the third video, I will then do a real-time segment at the end of that video showing everything that I've done. Because there's a lot of detailing on the outside of the restaurant here, and I can't really do a real-time segment in one video without giving away everything from the next, and I don't want you to be able to see the upstairs or the habitat or the detail up the front until it's all finished and ready, and I can show you the whole thing in one go. So that's my plan. So a couple of relatively short videos to start with, and then the third one will be a bit longer. So you can see I originally had a couple of side entrances to the restaurant, and then I thought it wasn't grand enough. It needed to have one big entrance doorway. So that's what I'm putting in here, right in the middle. Again, I had to fiddle around with the paths and move some of the actual what they called the facilities inside. But it worked out nicely. Actually, it made me move the toilets, because in the end I put the toilets upstairs. I thought I'd do that just to make sure that guests do actually go upstairs. Obviously there's tables everywhere for them to use, but I think if you don't put a facility upstairs, they would probably never actually go up. but we'll see. I haven't let guests into the restaurant, into the zoo at all yet, in fact, so I don't know what will get used and what won't, but it looks good, and that's what I'm all about, is getting things looking good. So you can see here I realised it was too boxy straight away, and I'd forgotten to put on the balcony, which is something that I had planned to do straight away and completely forgot about. So I just extended it. I thought this side looked quite good for a balcony, and obviously I wanted a second exit as well, thinking again about health and safety and all that. In real life you would have an exit and an entrance downstairs, and you would have to have some sort of stairway to the second floor, just in case there was a fire downstairs, so that people aren't trapped. So I thought, let's make it a nice solid proper stairway leading up there. So that's gone on at the side here, and it also created a nice sort of a bit underneath the balcony, a little area there, which I could use and make look good. You can see I'm just doing some detailing here with the edging. Works out really nicely, actually. It's sometimes with this edging, things don't quite fit, but because I managed to keep everything on the grid here, it did come together quite nicely. But it was looking too boxy at this point. You can see it. I wasn't happy with that, so I wanted to add a bit of extra shape. So I did this on the corners. Just thought, well, I could put a couple of planters on the corner. Actually, maybe have some trees or something growing upstairs. Just little things like that. And then I had these stone blocks down the bottom. It just adds a little bit of extra shape, and it really does make so much difference to a building. Buildings have never been my strong point in this game or back in Planet Coaster, but I am learning, and I'm learning that it's all about detail and it's all about shape. Square buildings are no good. They don't look good. You've got to find ways of just adding layer upon layer of shapes and textures, and you just keep going, and then suddenly at some point you'll reach a point when you think that's it, that looks good, or you'll get to a point when you think that's too much, and it doesn't work. So here you can see I've used these big stone blocks. I then I do put these bits in the front. Again, I wanted places where I could put lots of either trees or shrubs or plants, something like that. So yes, I put these round bits on the front, thinking they'd make good planters, which I do later on. But the end, I just sacked all my staff there because they were annoying me. I don't need them at the moment. But the entrance itself, I wasn't quite happy with how that was looking, and this, again, few issues with the pathway here, but I wanted it to I didn't want it to be too straight, like the inside. I didn't want it to look too formal, so I just just played around, and eventually I got it so that it was nice. I was always going to cover up the edges anyway of the entrance path, so I didn't mind that it looked a bit wiggly. It gets the job done, doesn't it? You can see I'm just doing some details, but I wasn't happy with this. The entrance here, it needed something. I can't even remember what I was doing it. This is quite a while ago that I was doing this, so bear with me, because I'm watching this. It was about 2 weeks ago that I actually built this now. Oh yes, so I found this this wood. I think this is the Australia wood again. I really like this pattern, and the contrast of this wood against the stone I thought worked really nicely. And I thought it made a good entranceway because it squared off the entrance, which makes sense, because the wood stands out nicely, but obviously you would have some sort of door, and so I used this wood, which created a nice edge for the doorway, and then I needed something that I could put in here to make it appear that there was some sort of internal door that slid like some sort of mechanism that slid back and then would be sort of drawn across at night. And yeah, I found these girders which did quite a nice job. They created, you know, sort of a metal edge to suggest that there's something inside there, some sort of mechanism that comes across at night and seals the whole building off. So yeah, I was pretty happy with how that turned out. In fact, just thinking about it, what I haven't done is create a door upstairs. At the moment, anyone at night could just walk in upstairs, so maybe I have to think about adding that on at some point. It's amazing what comes to mind, isn't it? 2 weeks after you built something, you suddenly realise that you're missing a door somewhere. I don't know. I might go back and do that. I might not. Yeah. So here I wanted greenery actually incorporated into the building. So I've done the big planters on the corners, and I've done the 2 big round ones downstairs out the front. But I had this edging here, which I couldn't think of something good to do with the tops of these stone pillars. And so I thought, well, what about if I put a wooden planter all the way around the edge? And yeah, it was a good idea. I was very happy I thought about it, because it means that I could put plants all the way around the edge. Yeah, I thought it looked nice. It means that you know, while you're sitting inside the restaurant, you're looking out and you've got a bit of colour, because there's not a lot of colour in the building, and so the colour needs to come from plants. Which I do in a little while. Just when I've got a break here, I mean, I'll keep watching and I'll comment on anything that comes to mind. But yeah, just as a side note, I do hope, if you're watching this, I do hope you're enjoying the series. I'm certainly having fun working in the zoo and creating it. The process of making the videos is getting a bit more manageable for me. I'm still learning lots and trying to get my editing techniques sorted. But yeah, I'm certainly getting there, and I'm still enjoying doing it. Just a quick note on what I'm doing here. Sometimes when I'm making a building, I like to just find a load of pieces that I like the look of, and I'll just lay them out on the lawn outside, and it just reminds me, because otherwise I'll find a piece and then I'll forget about it and not use it. So when I find something that I think might work in the building, I just set it down outside, and it's just a constant reminder then, and I can go back to it. You know, whenever I need a piece, it will be there waiting for me. Like these metal pieces here, I absolutely love them. The archway I do like, but the arch actually on this building doesn't stay. I like the idea of some sort of tunnel, but it ended up just being too big and too in the way. So I think it's here for the rest of this video, but by the next one it has disappeared, I think. It's certainly gone by the end of the build. What was I saying? Yes, so yeah, I'm really enjoying my time in this zoo, and my creativity. You know, I'm having fun creating these things, and I've like I've said, I am recording all of these a fair bit in advance. I still don't actually have my YouTube channel working yet. So I think by the time that's up and running, I'm probably going to have close to 20 episodes, I think, of this zoo pre-recorded. So obviously it's not ideal, because it means that I can't react to any comments that I get. But it's just how it is. I'm just having a few issues working out my YouTube channel. I have a friend creating my graphics for me, that sort of thing, and I don't want to just rush into it. I want to make sure everything is ready and working when I start. just in case somebody does actually find my channel and decide they want to watch my stuff, because you never know, it might happen, it might not, but either way I want to try and be as ready and professional as I can. So yeah, anyway, let's get back to the building. You saw what I was doing at the back there. I just needed a bit of detail at the back, and that's what I'm starting now, is just details. So it's you know, little wooden surrounds on the windows, things like that. It just makes a lot of difference. Again, it just adds an extra layer of detail and texture. And it's the sort of thing, once the building's finished and you go in, you don't notice necessarily all these little details, but they're there, and if they weren't there, you would notice. Yeah, little things like the wooden surrounds there, it really makes a big difference, really does. Here I'm just, this whole area outside underneath the balcony, it took a lot of time and effort to cover up all the concrete, especially on the steps, the underside of the steps. So really it's a bit of a pain, because it just means you've got a lot of big concrete blocks to cover up, and the only way to do it really is with these stone beams, where you just you know, you just have to do a lot of copy and pasting. I did have the idea, I'm not sure if it's in this video or the next. Oh, bit of a jump there actually. Let's just talk about what I've done there. You can see inside I decided to continue the wood theme inside, so that's what's happened there. Now I'm just, oh yes, you've missed the roof. I must have forgotten to record the roof, but you'll see, I'll show you again, obviously I'll show you eventually in the real time. But the roof inside that first floor, I'm really happy with how it turned out, but it's a very basic idea. You just use the roofing panels and you lower some down, and it's created sort of a checkerboard style of roofing there. It's a really nice sort of modern architectural technique, and I think, yeah, I was really happy with how that came out actually. And here again, just little details. I'm working on kind of a giant shelf basically along the front here. A lot of these little details do change between this video and the final product. So again, once I do the real-time segment, I'll go in and you'll see exactly what's changed since this video. So I think with these, for example, I instead of leaving them open, I think I fill them in, so they look a bit more solid. But yeah, it's you know, it's pretty simple stuff. It's the sort of thing, obviously you would have this in real life. You'd have these little shelves and things around any serving area, because obviously you've got to have somewhere to put things down basically. It's you know, that's how restaurants and places like this work. You know, you have little shelves so you can put your wallet down or your shopping or whatever. And unfortunately you do end up with the staff members walking through a lot of things. That's unavoidable when you're building this sort of building where you've got functional pathway. It's very hard to stop the guests and the staff from walking through all sorts of things, but that's life. You know, it looks good. That's just something you have to put up with in this sort of game. Here I love this detailing, this sort of tiger stripe. It's a very simple thing, but when you use it right, it adds a really nice bit of texture. So yeah, I was more than happy to use that in here. I thought it went well with the wood once it's sunk in, and again, just lots of detailing and extra layers. You know, cover up things like corners. Here you can see where I've used the actual wall pieces. If you just leave them bare, it's a bit lazy. It doesn't you know, it doesn't look like you've put a lot of effort in. So if you just well, you can see I've just had a bit of a jump there, so lots of little details. Again, frames around the edge of windows, and just adding layers of colour and texture here. The little red corner pieces match obviously the red pieces at the bottom, and in fact you can see the bottoms there are now covered in. And in fact I do add some more where those red corner pieces went in. I do come back a bit later and actually add in some more red beams to create better frames because they stood out a little bit too much. Here I really wanted to use these round bits in here, these round lights, but I did find they didn't really provide a lot of light. They shine well where they are, but they don't, the light doesn't really penetrate out from them much. So I did keep them there, but what I had to do then was use the other small spotlight lights underneath them. I'm not sure if I've got that on camera or not, but I will show you that at some point. In fact, I know it's on camera when I do the same technique upstairs, so you'll see what I mean there. Just a couple of planters in the doorway here. Again, nothing too much because it would be fairly minimal in a restaurant like this. It would just be there, you know, it would fill in a gap, or it would just add a little bit of, again, a bit of colour, a bit of texture. And this bit here actually changes a lot between now and the finished product. I wanted, again, I thought of putting planters in here, and I thought let's just, you know, continue the same theme as the two by the door. But in the end, I didn't like the look of it. They were too symmetrical, too repetitive, and I didn't like it. And I actually liked the look of the stairs, so I didn't want to have them as covered up. So that was my thinking here. You know, again, I tried to use these tamarins, but they end up poking out the back. I couldn't get them right. So I think I end up, I go with these ones, and I left it. I knew I wasn't happy, and I knew I was going to come back to it later and make changes. Yeah, I mean, that's what you do sometimes. Sometimes you build something and you know you're going to come back to it, but you just put it there as sort of a filler, you know, just leave it, and then once you've got a new idea you'll come back and make changes. Just like this, these benches, I put these benches in and they are completely different to what I end up with. In fact, what I end up with is really nice. I actually have a couple of water features with plants. So yeah, we're nearly at the end of this this downstairs. It does change a fair bit actually, and you'll see that later on, but for now that's about it. So thank you very much for watching, and I will leave you there, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye bye.